wrestling on the ACC Network Extra. We are here in Raleigh, North Carolina, the home of the NC State Wolfpack, ranked 7th in the country, hosting 16th ranked Michigan as part of the NWCA National Duels. It's presented by the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marines. There it works. Your skin's defense is our top priority. And Pat's toy. Resist to exist.
Confirmed that there were a couple of others.
Welcome inside Reynolds Coliseum, everyone. I'm Andrew Sanders, joined by Ryan Tice. Ryan, this is a big matchup here as part of the National Duels, and this has been a really fun event in the last couple of years since it got started. We get to see some really fun matchups.
Yeah, and we've got a great matchup here. You talked to the coaches beforehand. Both of them know it's going to be a competitive matchup. On paper, this could be one that is split 5-5 in terms of favorites, so it should be close and it should be fun.
See 8 Big Ten teams against 6 conference champions, 2 at-large bids. NC State, one of those at-large bids. All of the Big Ten teams are on the road this year, which is why the Wolverines visit Raleigh, North Carolina. We'll step aside just a moment. When we come back, we'll start at 157 pounds here on the ACC Network Extra.
That Michigan has done a great job of inducing.
Number 7 NC State and number 16 Michigan doing battle here in Reynolds Coliseum as part of the NWCA National Duels. Alongside Ryan Tice, I'm Andrew Sanders. So glad to have you on board tonight for the broadcast. This is going to be a ton of fun. We expect it to be a pretty even matchup between the Wolverines and the Wolfpack. Ryan, this is 2 teams that are not familiar, at least on the wrestling mat. It's just the second ever meeting between the 2 schools. You see Michigan won it back in 1993, the only time prior that these 2 schools have met. We're going to start off at 157 pounds, and we're ready to go. Underway in Raleigh. Our matchup at 157 is 24th ranked Thomas Bullard, a freshman who is 17-7 on the season, against 10th ranked Brian Murphy, a senior,
away from the bag, and the arm strength
he has
on
really been on a
display
roll
by
as of late, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at his record on the season, 10-6 might not blow you away,
you're able to relax. That's a play that you have to be able to slow yourself down for, where you have to whip around the way that Canfield did on that one. And she does a good job, as you mentioned, the momentum carrying her away from the bag, still accurate, and then Swearingen to be able to stretch off the bag and make the play. The combo there on the right side of the infield
scrambling around on the edge of the mat right now.
Very impressive by the young sophomore.
And that is what Thomas Bullard does best.
Third is Nimmo, and this is it for NC State.
Murphy does get the 2 before they go out of bounds.
Murphy, a captain on this Michigan Wolverines club, going up against the freshman Thomas Bullard.
A good spot for Finn's first college
gotten his hands full, but as you see, he's ranked 24th in the country. He's had himself a really solid freshman campaign so far.
Yeah, and you see Murphy he's got the cradle locked up now. He's trying to take him back and start getting some back points.
Second shutout victory of the year, and empty cuts
really
by
well
Finn.
Lately. It's kind of that maturation process that a lot of true freshmen go through, where as you get more matches, you're not a freshman anymore. And over the last 9 bouts, Bullard is actually 7-2, and you see him get the reversal, and then he cuts Murphy. So Murphy is up 3-2.
Good start to
Michigan
this
in
one.
The bottom of the 5th.
And I mentioned it before.
Nimmo
Bullard is such a good
cut again by Finn, and the Wolverines have NC State
Murphy is
down to its final swing.
Senior, he had the cradle locked up, and that's a tough position to be in.
And is able to get Finn out
the true
in front.
freshman Thomas Bullard,
and those are the kind of pitches that really can get a freshman like Finn to chase after.
He's slippery. He's able to get out of that
chance to get that run across. She's going to try and get that
from
hit.
The true freshman for NC State.
The 1-2.
Ryan, looking ahead.
Now,
the 10 individual bouts, we score it
for the Michigan
probably
Wolverines
5-5. Just on paper, you look at both teams probably have 5 bouts in which they feel like they are either decent to heavy favorites. And so this one probably is going to come down to who's going to be able to either score an upset or who's going to be able to maximize their bonus points in the bouts that they have the advantage.
Great deal of service to hold her back to face NC State again.
That's what it always comes down to.
Assuming Betsa is healthy and able to go, one would think that Betsa would go tomorrow morning against Notre Dame, and then the Wolfpack likely to see Sarah Blanco
he thought it was
tomorrow
going to
afternoon. But again, no inside knowledge, but it's just
in
kind
this
of
match.
me deducing
Both
through
coaches,
the pitching
I talked to
staff
them
that
both
Michigan
before
has.
we started, and both knew this would be a close one.
Either way, the challenge for NC State
It's interesting
we
started 157
Blanco or Betts will be huge. And there it is.
On paper,
a strikeout.
This is really the strongest stretch for Michigan.
And the Michigan Wolverines shut out NC State in the opener of this ACC Big Ten Challenge. Betts strikes out 9 over her 4 innings, and Leah Crockett able to finish it off. And the night, though, belonged to Kelly Christner, the 4th ever Wolverines. They had 3 home runs in a single game, a grand slam in the second, solo shots against Hubbard in the 4th, and number 3 was a line shot to right center with a runner on. She drives in 7, and the Wolverines an authoritative 12-0 win over NC State. So the Wolverines move to 4-2 with the victory, and they will take on Notre Dame tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Eastern. NC State will wait for a rematch with Michigan tomorrow afternoon at 3 Eastern, and we will have that game for you live from the Dale Softball Stadium. Final score again, Michigan 12, NC State nothing. On behalf of Chris Lehman and the entire ESPN and ACC Network production team, Patrick Keenan saying good night from Raleigh, where the Wolverines, behind Christner's record-setting night, shuts out NC State 12-0. Good night from Raleigh.
Big Ten dual championships 9 times. He's led the Wolverines to a top 10 NCAA finish, including national runners-up in 2005.
And Bullard keeps moving, finds a way to get his hips away and escapes. We're all tied up at 3.
All square at 3. It is important to note that Murphy has about 55 seconds of riding time, so it's not a factor yet, but he's close.
Yeah, and to explain that for people who might not be that familiar with college wrestling, if you end the match with more than 1 minute of riding time, you get a point tacked on at the end. You can only get 1, though, so even if you have 4 minutes of riding time, you only get 1, and it does not come till the end of the match. You see Murphy just trying to be heavy on that head of Bullard's, and great shot from him. Although this is where Bullard's at his best, kind of hanging over you and rolling around and funking. He's just really good with that funky stuff. Stalemate's called. They'll come back and start again in neutral. And you see Murphy's kind of got Bullard's hands tied up there, and he gets out of it. In the preseason this year, Brian Murphy actually wrestled Max Roscoff of NC State, who had a season-ending injury in the NWCA All-Star Classic, and Roscoff was able to get a pin in that one, but he was lost for the year, and Thomas Bullard steps into that spot for NC State.
There's the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio, in his 5th season. ACC champs last year, 3 straight top 20 finishes at the NCAAs. He was the National Coach of the Year, according to Flow Wrestling last year. He has done a tremendous job in Raleigh.
See an escape there for Murphy, and he's right back in on the legs, looking for a takedown. And he might have Bullard in danger here. There's the 2. Bullard's one of those guys that puts himself in dangerous positions, but normally can get out of it. He couldn't there. Maybe we're seeing the seasoned veteran of a senior in Brian Murphy.
I was going to say, just the start of that 3rd period when they're even at 3, it would seem like Murphy's experience really shone through in the first 18 seconds.
And the riding time just went over a minute, so we've got 1:35 left in the 3rd period, but Murphy does have over a minute of riding time right now, and he's racking up more as we speak. And this is important where it's Bullard to get those hips away. And Murphy with a nice trip to a return.
Just on the edge, and now they're out. About 1 minute and 30 of ride time for Murphy. He's really taking control of this one here in the 3rd. And even as slippery as Bullard can be, we've seen Murphy's pretty good on top.
Yeah, really good on top. I mean, he's solid in all positions. You don't do the things an All-American like Murphy has done without being good in every position.
Fans trying to get behind Bullard here.
And we're under a minute left in regulation. 6-4 is the count, so Bullard's going to have to get his offense going here.
Not only does he need that takedown, he needs to get it quickly here.
Absolutely, because with the riding time, it is technically 7. It would be 7-4, unless Bullard can erase 34 seconds off the riding time clock. And that is not going to be able to happen now, so it is 7-4 essentially.
A couple of nice wins for Murphy in this string of 6 straight. He beat 17th-ranked Van Brill out of Rutgers, beat 7th-ranked Heffernan out of Central Michigan.
And you see Murphy just trying to close it down. He gets in on a shot.
Just when it seemed like he was backing out, there was a couple of calls for stalling. He's in there with another one.
That's
another shot.
That's that seasoned veteran that we were talking about right there.
Kind of lull you to sleep.
Yeah, you can. Oh, Bullard. No takedown there. 7-4 is going to be the final.
So a nice showing from Brian Murphy to get Michigan off to an early lead. They take a 3-0 lead on the decision.
Not a bad showing from Thomas Bullard, though, being a true freshman going up against a guy as accomplished as Brian Murphy. And Thomas Bullard has a very bright future, but Brian Murphy just a little bit too much as a senior and a guy with so much experience.
Yeah, again, that was one we thought that Michigan was going to win pretty handily. Again, avoiding upsets is key for the favorites, but also avoiding bonus points is going to be key for the underdogs. This is, on paper, the biggest mismatch, and really nothing against Chad Pike of NC State. That's just how good Logan Massa is. He's ranked 2nd in the country. He's lost just twice in his college career. He's a redshirt freshman, 24-1 this year, Ryan.
Yeah, and Logan Massa's 2 losses are to guys a lot of college wrestling fans have heard of. They're national champions, Isaiah Martinez and Alex Derringer of Oklahoma State.
I saw Martinez from Illinois recently. But this is a guy that really could win a national title this year because Martinez bumped up from 57 to 65, so he figures to factor in there as well. But, you know, when we asked Coach McFarland what makes Logan Massa so good, he just said he's the ultimate competitor. No matter what we're doing in the wrestling room or, you know, when you get out here in a dual meet, he just brings that fire, brings that competitiveness.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge component for a good wrestler. You've got to be competitive. You've got to hate to lose. You've got to always want to be putting it on your opponent, and that's exactly what Logan Massa does. He's a real treat to watch, I think.
Derringer, 3-time champ at Oklahoma State. Martinez has won 2 titles.
And going for more,
Absolutely.
Isaiah Martinez is.
Massa won the Cliff Keen Vegas Invitational this season, which is obviously a huge tournament. And is named after the legendary Michigan head man.
Absolutely. So you see him give up the escape there, and he's just going to, looks like he wants to go back to work in neutral. Chad Pike able to stymie him at first here.
So for Chad Pike, obviously he's got an almost impossible task in front of him here against Massa. What does the redshirt junior from McDonough, Georgia, have to key in on here?
I mean, the key is you've got to slow your opponent down a little bit, try to tie him up, and just keep the points as limited as possible. I mean, that's obviously easier said than done against a guy of Logan Massa's caliber. I mean, Massa's a guy, if he did not redshirt last year, I can guarantee you he would have been on the podium at Nationals.
Right.
At somewhere, and it could have been extremely high. We've seen him even on Sunday. He beat Isaac Jordan of Wisconsin. And Isaac Jordan's the guy that was in the NCAA Finals last year.
Anytime you can be this good as a redshirt freshman, thinking about a national title, and here's a stalling warning on Chad Pike. 2 more for Massa.
And you can just see why Massa's so good. I mean, he is relentless in neutral. Even when he lets his guy up, he is right back on him immediately. Does not let him take a break.
Michigan bench yelling out 15 seconds left.
Yeah,
they want him to ride out the rest of the period.
Exactly. He's already got a minute and a half of riding time. By the end of the period, it will probably be around 135 or so. 133.8, so pretty close. 8-3 lead for Logan Massa, and the key here for Chad Pike is you can't give up.
Look at some of the Mission wrestlers ranked inside the top 20. That's according to the Coaches Poll. Those four, and at 125 pounds, Connor Utsi, we're going to see he's not technically ranked because he hasn't wrestled enough matches, but better believe that if he had wrestled enough matches, he would be in that top 20 as well. So, again, that's where Michigan is really strong at several weight classes.
Yeah, Utsi's a two-time All-American who came back second semester for the Wolverines after they had some injury problems at 125. So, I mean, we talked to Joe McFarland beforehand, and he said Utsi's a guy that adds so much leadership. And you see Pike getting in on a shot, trying to score some points of his own here.
Almost had Mass on his back.
And Mass is on his back right now. He's trying to bow and arrow him. That's 2 points right there.
And that could turn out to be a massive 2 points for Chad Pike. And really now, Ryan, just a chance to take a breath. He's been on bottom the whole first period and half the second.
Absolutely. I'm sure he won't be able to stay on top of Massa too long, so it could be a limited break, but it is a little bit of one coming up here. So you see him trying to stay on top.
You can hear there's a good crowd here in Reynolds Coliseum. That's really the first roar we've heard from them. After, if you're just joining us, 10th-ranked Brian Murphy won at 157 pounds over 24th-ranked Thomas Bullard. So Michigan leading it, as you see on our score bug there, 3-0 here in the early going.
And what Pike is doing a good job of right now is stopping the shot initially. Your first line of defense is your hands, and then your level change, and then your head. And he's doing a great job of meeting Massa's levels on his shots to stop him. And you see Pike try to get two of his own by initiating a shot, and Massa just turns it around, spins behind, and gets his two.
So pretty much same situation that Massa was in the first period, where we think he'll just ride this out.
Yeah,
a better second period from Chad Pike.
Yeah, able to get some momentum going on his side and score some points. And, you know, getting that takedown that we saw him get is just a huge confidence builder. To be able to do that and to scramble against a guy of Logan Massa's caliber is huge for down the road.
Even with that takedown, however, you see Massa's already up 6 plus a ride time. We would expect point, depending on how quickly he can get out here. He's still looking at a major decision.
Yeah, he is. So we'll see what's able to happen here down the stretch. You see Pike trying to hang on, decides to let him go.
Massa kind of took a slow walk in a circle around before he met back up with Pike again.
So Massa right now does have 1 minute and 42 seconds of riding time. That's something to watch as we go forward. Obviously, if Massa has 8 points or more than his opponent, that's a major decision and worth additional team points. We talked about how big the bonus points will be in this match, so that is definitely something to watch here.
And as important as we expect that to be and as good as Logan Massa is, Michigan really counting on bonus points from him.
Absolutely. When the match is going to be as close as we think this one's going to be, your studs have to go out there and get bonus points. And I'm sure they talked about that with Logan Massa beforehand. I'm sure he's aware of that fact. And with under a minute left, he does currently have a major decision. Trying to add more points, though. You know he's not going to give up with it as it stands right now. So Massa does have the riding time point locked up, so it's essentially 17-7 right now. 30 seconds left in the third period.
He's going to have to get some swipes. He's going to have to get some near-fall points.
And just as you say it, partner.
There's one.
Just one swipe.
4 swipes for Massa.
That's going to be 4 points.
And so 12 seconds remaining. And what was at the start of the third period not quite a major decision yet has now gotten into tech fall territory.
Yeah, tech fall, you got to have 15 or more points more than your opponent. And you see that Massa let Pike up to try to get the takedown that would secure it, but Pike not giving up easily. And at the buzzer, the ref awards the 2. I think we're going to see a review on that one. You see head coach Pat Papalizio at the head table already.
Yeah. And so both officials are now going to go over to the monitor, and I got to say, Ryan, at least to me in real time, it appeared that the 2 went up just before the buzzer, but I think before Massa, he was certainly getting there. I don't think he had control yet. At least that's what I saw in real time.
It's tough to say just based on the real-time look we had at it. It's awfully close. I'm inclined to say he might have had it there. Just, again, based on my real-time view of it, it's going to be a close one, and it is an official review, so neither coach called for the review. The referees decided we're going to go take a look at this one ourselves.
And again, just how big of a call this is. If it stands, that means Michigan and Logan Massa will have a tech fall victory. That means 5 points as opposed to 4 for the major decision. And as close as this one is going to be, we think, later on down the line, that 1 team point is absolutely monumental. So the officials have looked it over.
No
points. And they rule it not a takedown. So Massa obviously going to be slightly disappointed. He still takes a major decision. He saw that competitiveness. He knew what was in front of him. It was going to be difficult to do. He got the 4 near fall points and was that close, was 1 second away from getting that tech fall in the end.
Hey, and credit to you, Andrew. You had that one right all along. You're just becoming a regular wrestling.
Every once in a while, I know what I'm talking about.
Becoming a wrestling expert over here. As we move on to 174 pounds.
Yeah, 33rd ranked Nick Reenan, a freshman from Dallas, Texas for NC State, against 9th ranked Miles Amin, a redshirt freshman for Michigan. And again, as we said, 157, 165, and then 174 pounds. This is really, if this was baseball, you would say this is the heart of the order right here for the Wolverines.
Absolutely. 3 guys back to back to back that are all going to be competing for spots on the podium at Nationals. And, I mean, honestly, 3 guys that are pretty good bets to be able to do so.
I say baseball, but it's maybe I should say softball because Michigan is actually, they just finished up across the street here on campus at NC State, and the Wolverines taking down the Wolfpack on the softball diamond. Out to a 7-0 lead here inside Reynolds Coliseum.
And you see Nick Reenan coming back, that's going to be a stalling warning against Amin, his first of the match. And what happened there was you've got 5 seconds. You saw the ref swiping. You've got 5 seconds to work above the buttocks. And we didn't see that from Amin. He gets hit for the stalling, his first of the match, so no harm done yet. But that could be something that plays into the match as it goes on if it's a close one.
Miles, the younger brother of Malik Amin, that we might see at 149 pounds. He's got an or next to his name. Also a good chance, I think a slightly better chance that we'll see Zach Hall in that spot.
Yeah, one of 3 Amins on the team. His brother and then his cousin Jordan is also on the roster. And Miles and Malik's dad was actually an NCAA finalist wrestler at Michigan, so they are continuing the tradition and doing their father proud, I'm sure.
So a couple of young guys in this one. Again, Amin is the favorite, but Nick Reenan was a massive recruit for Pat Papalizio in what, for NC State, was the #1 recruiting class in the country.
Yeah, he was the headliner of the class. He was actually the last addition to the class. And you see him almost reverse it, and Amin kind of cartwheels out of it to give up just an escape. But yeah, Reenan was a big-time recruit. Flow Wrestling ranked him the #4 recruit overall in the class, and it was a huge one when NC State got that commitment. And like you said, it topped off the #1 class in the country. He was a national prep finalist each year of his high school career. And we've talked about this before, but he actually wrestled at 195 pounds his senior year of high school, and you see him out here wrestling at 174. He didn't lose that weight. He was just wrestling.
Yeah, we shouldn't say he wasn't 195 pounds.
He was just wrestling up in high school to get the best competition. And I do think we've seen how well it served him as he started his college career. He's transitioned very nicely, 18-8 on the season.
No doubt about it, especially when you are generally, as a true freshman, you're wrestling guys that are 3, maybe 4 years older than you. This is not the case against Amin. But it has certainly served him well against older, stronger guys, more developed guys just at, age 21, 22 than at age 18.
Absolutely. And he's used to wrestling guys that are a little more physically developed and stronger than him, so I think that has served him well. But you see it's 3-1 now.
Yeah, Amin with the lead. Renan has a cut underneath his eye as well, his right eye. Amin finished third at Cliff Keen this year. Has 3 wins against guys that are returning All-Americans.
See these guys going back and forth and shooting a little bit on each other. Not really any deep shots, but little half shots trying to get his opponent off balance.
And this is where Renan is especially dangerous here in neutral with his throw-bys.
Yeah, he loves to tie up with people and try that throw-by. He's so good at it. A guy that was on the junior world team in Greco-Roman wrestling, so he's great with that upper body stuff.
And this is where we've got just a little bit of blood time here as Renan is being tended to. Again, that cut under his right eye.
Yeah, so to reset things, it's 3-1 in favor of Amin right now, with 1:15 of riding time in the Michigan wrestlers' favor.
So the training staff tending to Renan's eye, got a little bit of blood off the mat, just a drop or two, and we're back ready to go. So as much scoring as we saw at 165 pounds. With Logan Massa and Chad Pike. Hasn't been that kind of high-scoring affair here at 174 pounds.
I think this is a little bit more of an even matchup. Obviously, no offense to Pike, but as we said, Massa's a guy.
It's more a compliment to Massa.
Exactly. So you see Renan trying to work some upper body stuff, and then Amin goes for what looked like he wanted a fireman's carry, not able to get that.
Michigan bench wants stalling on Renan.
As the period winds down, I think they're trying to say Renan hasn't really shot at all this match. And there is the stalling call. They coaxed it out of the ref, and then Amin not able to score there as the period winds down. So now each wrestler has one stalling call against him.
There's Joe McFarland, blue shirt. And I would say, I guess you could say a Mays tie.
I think it qualifies. And we've seen a lot of redshirt freshmen out here for this Michigan team so far. We're going to see a lot more. In their probable lineup, they did have 11 guys weigh in, but five of them are in their freshman year of eligibility. Yeah. So it's a young team. It's a team that's redshirting a lot of quality wrestlers. Adam Kuhn, their NCAA All-American heavyweight.
He's in the building tonight.
He is. We saw him during warm-ups on the bench, but he's here. They're redshirting Dominic Abinator, who was a 184-pound All-American, and also Alec Pantelio, who's at 149.
Yeah, really, when you look at how good this Michigan lineup is already, and then some of the guys that they're redshirting, like at 184 pounds or at heavyweight, they will certainly be probably even better next year.
Yeah.
And a stalling warning now goes to Miles Amin. So both wrestlers have been warned.
That's his second, so it should be a point. It hasn't gone up on the scoreboard yet, but NC State coach is telling the ref.
Now it's
there. It is. So that makes it 3-2 with 1:03 left. Although the important thing to note, although we don't have it on the screen, but Amin's got 2:15 of riding time and counting.
He's locked it up. So Renan needs more than an escape.
Renan's got to get out and then get his offense working here. And you see Amin, he's got that leg in, and he is riding Renan tough.
He absolutely is. And the Michigan bench again calling for stalling. They haven't gotten it yet.
And Amin just rough on top. I mean, he is really working.
Yeah, getting Renan down to his belly.
Not able to do anything with it yet, but he is going after that turn.
There's a stalling. That's another point for Amin. And that'll make it very comfortable now. On top in a dominant position with essentially now a 5-2 lead.
Yeah, and he racked up over 3 minutes of riding time in that one.
Renan with a glance at the clock. And I don't think he liked how much time he saw left. Seconds winding down. Miles Amin going to hold on in this one. Wow, that was a dominant performance on top. Again, this was a much more even matchup than we saw in the last couple. And it was a good one until Amin chose top and just rode it out.
Yeah, I mean, just so good on top, as you can see. But, you know, all things considered, like we mentioned, that's the heart of the Michigan lineup. It's 10-0 right now in favor of the Wolverines. But it could be 11-0 with that tech fall possible for Logan Massa, and that match could have been worse too.
And this is where NC State starts to get into some of the strength of its lineup. You get a look at the Wolfpack's ranked wrestlers. One of them ranked inside the top 20 is 10th ranked Michael Machiavello, against some of the lower weights as well.
And Machiavello wasting no time getting in on a shot.
Machiavello squaring off against Ernest Battaglia of Michigan. And Wolfpack fans down 10-0. Have been waiting for some offense, some scoring, and a lead for a Wolfpack wrestler, and they get it here quickly, as you mentioned, out of Machiavello.
Yeah, you look at the records between these two wrestlers. Machiavello 21-5 this year, Battaglia 3-8. So this is almost a kind of like Massa was a bit of a mismatch on paper. This one could be similar, and you see Machiavello just getting right after it, wasting no time.
Again, it's going to be about scoring those bonus point wins if you're the favorite or if you're the underdog, limiting those points. And really, this is not a new story for Michigan because they're so strong at some parts of the lineup and a little bit weaker at others. They have found themselves in many close duel matches this year. They've lost a couple of times by a 19-18 score in which, you know, they've split 5 of the matches.
Yeah, that's why when you look on paper at Michigan's record, and it's 8-6, I believe. I mean, they're not
4-5 in the Big Ten.
They're not a typical 8-6 team, and
not at all.
Especially when you're in the Big Ten. I mean, the Big Ten is so good at wrestling. Clearly, the best conference in wrestling, and so many close matches, like you mentioned.
8-6, with an opportunity to have 5 wrestlers go very deep at the NCAA championships as Machiavello scores again.
And the NC State coaching staff saying, we want you to cut him and go for another takedown, and that is exactly what Machiavello does.
Too hard. And Pat Popolizio is liking what he's seeing so far.
See associate head coach Frank Beasley stomping his foot trying to tell Machiavello to cut him.
This has been a really nice response from Michael Machiavello because, you know, as expected, Michigan won the first 3 bouts, and even though you're ranked 10th and you're a heavy favorite in this one, it makes it a little more pressure on you. You know,
Absolutely.
You already know that there's a lot of eyeballs on this really across the country, and we welcome all of our viewers, either from Big Ten country or just wrestling fans all across America, because we know as part of these national duels, people love to tune in and watch some of these matchups.
And I think we can say this is the marquee matchup of the night as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. NC State and Michigan.
You see Machiavello wasting no time here, and he is coming off a huge win. His first top 5 win of his career, beating number 5 Zach Zavatsky of Virginia Tech, 9-3. And it wasn't as wide of a gap as the 9-3 final score makes it look like, but Machiavello wrestled extremely well, and really that win gave NC State a chance to upset the Hokies, who are in the top 5 nationally.
Yeah, it was a great night individually for Machiavello, but NC State there's a stalling call that goes against Battaglia. The Wolfpack fell to Virginia Tech, coming off that loss at Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg, and that is just the second loss of the year for NC State. The other loss came against a team that Michigan is familiar with. The Wolverines also lost to Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, this year. And Pat Popolizio's bunch, you know, as you said, this is probably the marquee matchup of the night at the national duels. Well, NC State and Pat Popolizio, they were really a big surprise last year in the national duels when they went on the road to #2 Iowa and got a win. The only ACC team that has ever beaten the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, and they were some really impressive road warriors last year with Reynolds Coliseum, the beautiful facility we're in now, undergoing a $35 million renovation. They had a lot of matches on the road, and then their home matches were over at the State Fairgrounds. So
that was some great flexibility from Battaglia, but in the end, he just couldn't stop Machiavello from scoring 2.
And you see Machiavello get another takedown, cut him right away. That's what his coaches want, and that's what he's been doing. He's delivered 4 takedowns so far, and Battaglia's only points have been 4 escapes.
His headgear slipped down.
Interesting thing, one of the interesting things about Machiavello is he's a guy that, yes, he was a state champion, but he's from North Carolina, and the state as a whole doesn't have the strongest wrestling reputation, and really NC State as a whole has not had a ton of guys from North Carolina in the lineup and do as well as Machiavello has done this year in the top 10. I mean, most recently the one I could think of is Darius Little, who was an All-American, but other than that, there haven't been a ton of natives in the lineup for the Wolfpack.
30 seconds left. So if Machiavello is going to cut him, he's got to do it soon. Looked like he was trying to get that cradle.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to try to get a turn here and ride out the period, you know, with 2 minutes to go in the final period, but we will see what happens.
Just 10 seconds left. He's just increasing that ride time.
He will.
So Battaglia pretty much in the same spot that NC State's Chad Pike was in just a couple of minutes ago in the bout against Logan Massa.
And you see the NC State coaches there instructing Machiavello to just let him up, give up the 1 escape point before any time ticks off, and get right back to work in neutral, and that's what he does right there.
And just like with Massa, we've seen Machiavello is able to score pretty much at will.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a mismatch in neutral right now, the way Machiavello's just been able to take him down as much as he wants to. So I'm sure that's what we'll see for the final minute and a half here. It is important to note that Battaglia did get a stalling warning earlier in the match, so another one would be a point. You see him trying to work some upper body stuff, and Machiavello into a body lock. There's the finish. Looked like Battaglia didn't even want to give Machiavello a chance to lift him and slam him, so he just went down.
Yep, just dropped right down. So it's an 8-point deficit for Battaglia right now. Machiavello also will lock up the riding time point in about 5 seconds here.
And Battaglia in on a shot this time. Machiavello can't break that lock, so I think we're going to end up with a stalemate here. And that's the call.
And the Michigan bench telling Battaglia, hey, just 1 takedown. You were in on a shot. You need 1 takedown. That's the goal for him.
And he tries a shot, and Machiavello spins around, switches off to a single, and there's the trip and the finish. No points yet. There they are.
Crowd likes that, and that'll lock up the major decision for Machiavello, barring something special from Battaglia here.
And just like we saw with Massa, though, with the 4-point near fall, that can change things completely.
Right.
So you see Machiavello going to work on top, but I don't think he's going to have enough time here, as we are under 5 seconds left in regulation.
That'll do it. So Machiavello wins at 17-7, much to the delight of the fans here in Raleigh, as the first NC State wrestler able to raise his hand tonight is Michael Machiavello, and with a major decision, our score is now Michigan 10, NC State 4. and we roll right into 197 pounds. Now, Ryan, remember, we started at 157, so this will be the final bout before intermission.
That's right.
This will pit 25th ranked Malik McDonald against 32nd ranked Jackson Strigo.
I think out of all the matches, this might be, honestly, our most evenly matched one.
I was going to say that, or 125, I think, might be pretty close. But, again, this is one that on paper NC State is favored in, but not by a whole lot. You see not a whole lot of difference in rankings between these two wrestlers. Not a whole lot of difference in age either. McDonald, a redshirt sophomore, and Strigo is a redshirt freshman.
McDonald was ranked in the top 20 earlier this year by a couple of different outlets, so he has dropped a little bit, but he has been the consistent starter at 197 pounds for NC State. He's been in the lineup for all but 3 dual matches. You see Strigo trying to get the takedown on the edge of the mat. Instead, they go out of bounds, and we'll start back in the center.
Michigan has defeated 4 teams that are ranked this year, but an interesting note, they are 0-4 on the road against top 20 programs. Obviously, NC State ranked 7th would fall into that category. So the Wolverines trying to do something that they haven't been able to do yet this year. Now, obviously, it's not easy winning on the road against anyone, but especially someone ranked in the top 20.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with college wrestling is, you know, there might not be much of a home mat advantage for a lot of teams, but cutting weight on the road is really tough. I mean, you're in a hotel, you're out of your comfort zone, you might not be able to have access to the things you normally have access to to cut weight. So it is a little tougher to go on the road, but I mean, that's college wrestling's all about the postseason tournaments at the end, and most cases those are going to be on the road for you. So you gotta learn how to do it eventually. And that's going to be 2 on the edge of the mat for Strigo.
And what happened there for McDonald, because he was kind of trapped?
Yeah, I think he was afraid of catching a stalling warning for fleeing the mat, so he started to go back in bounds, and Strigo just able to
Strigo kind of had him in a trap right there. You can't go any further away, but if you come back, he's going to score 2. And he did to take an early lead here.
Yeah, McDonald was almost in a position where it was either give up the takedown or give up some points, you know, give up a stalling warning, excuse me. So he is able to get out after 17 seconds of Strigo on top, and he's in on a shot of his own.
And he also scores on the edge of the mat. So both wrestlers, the positive is both wrestlers have been able to score on the very edge of the mat. And you see Coach Pat Papalizio, saying, hey, be smart. Both wrestlers also giving up points at the edge of the match. So on one side you like it as a coach, on the other side you don't.
Absolutely, and in a match, in a so even match like this one, I mean, that could be the difference. So it's something to watch as we go forward. And Malik McDonald works down and hangs on to Strigo. They're again on the edge of the mat. And he's out. That's going to be a point. As Malik McDonald loses control there on the edge of the mat. And
he had a nice follow initially, but got to commend Strigo for being able to get out with just 11 seconds left. You know, we often talk about, partner, the importance of scoring points, you know, within the last 10, 20 seconds of the period and how much of a difference that makes.
Yeah, and great job by Strigo of doing exactly that, getting that escape point at the very end. And we also talk about how important scoring on the edge of the mat always is, or if it's the reverse case, not giving up points on the edge of the mat. So McDonald will start the second period on top. And he just gives up the escape after getting in a little bit of a bad position. He's in on a shot. Nice double leg from Malik McDonald there.
And now Strigo hadn't really had to roll.
I think
double leg right in the middle of the mat.
Yeah, there was no worrying about the edge there on that one, although look where they are now. They are creeping over there a little bit, but I think one of the things we've seen with Malik McDonald is his confidence has grown a lot lately. This is his first year in the starting lineup. I believe he's won 6 matches in a row at this point. No, excuse me, that is not correct because he did lose to Virginia Tech. But he has gotten on a little bit of a hot streak here lately. And that's gotten his confidence going, and I think we've seen that in neutral. And when I was talking to head coach Pat Papalizio, he said against Virginia Tech, for McDonald to be able to escape against him, he thought that was a confidence builder too.
Donalds, again, wasn't able to stay on top at the beginning of the period very long at all, but after that double leg takedown.
Wow, what a follow by Malik McDonald on that Granby roll. Impressive stuff there from the Wolfpack wrestler.
That puts him over a minute of ride time, by the way, just being able to follow.
And that's exactly how you follow a Granby roll. You let the guy go, and then you pounce back on top when he's back into this position he started in. You see that, you hear the cheer from the crowd as McDonald continues to rack up that riding time.
Now it's the NC State bench that's calling for the stalling. You see they're right on the side of Michigan's bench, right in front of head coach Joe McFarland. Strigo is just making his way towards the edge of the mat, and as they roll out of play there. Wolfpack coaching staff, of course, saying, hey, just keep him down for 13 more seconds.
Yeah, here's what we were just talking about. End of the match, end of the period, excuse me. Can you score points, or can you prevent
the scoring of points, right. And Strigo right now on his stomach, took a little peek at the clock. He's not going to be able to get out. And so, because of that dominant second period on top after the takedown for McDonald, he's just at about 2 minutes of ride time.
I tell you what, we've called, I believe, 5 or 6 home matches for NC State this year, Andrew. I don't think I've ever seen Malik McDonald work on top like he has. It's really impressive what he's done on top of this match.
And again, it's really good practice for guys from both teams going into the ACC championships or going into the Big Ten championships. And then, of course, many of the guys in the starting lineup for both teams, they want to be national qualifiers. Many of them will be. It's good tune-up for that tournament as well.
Yeah,
both 2 more.
Both coaches said that going in. They said this is going to be a great test for us. I think there's a lot of mutual respect between Pat Papalizio and Joe McFarland. And I think both were looking forward to having a competitive match and building some momentum going into the postseason, which, of course, is focused on individual tournaments from after this to the end.
And that's what makes this event so fun, is it's not only just good for the fans, it's good for the programs as well. They want to go head-to-head. They want to get, it's an honor to be able to go head-to-head. Some of the best teams in the country, particularly for a team like NC State, that is not in the Big Ten, and the other schools that get to square off against Big Ten opponents that, again, really run the college wrestling world.
Yeah, it's always great competition when you get to wrestle with these quality Big Ten teams. There's so many of them, and it just prepares you for what's coming ahead for NC State, the ACCs and the NCAAs, and for Michigan, the Big Tens and NCAAs.
ACC Championship will be held here in Reynolds Coliseum on March 4th. As they got a brand new renovation. As you mentioned, last year NC State had to wrestle away from home. But now hosting the ACC Championships. The Big Ten Championships will be March 4th and 5th in Bloomington.
So Malik McDonald does have the riding time point locked up, so it's essentially 9-5 right now as we close down to the final seconds of regulation. And he's still working for some takedowns, though. There's a shot from Strigo.
Will any wrestler be able to do anything here in the final seconds? It doesn't appear so. So as we said, on paper, this one was edge NC State, but we expected it to be pretty close. It was, but the second period making a big difference for Malik McDonald.
Yeah, and a great job from McDonald riding on top. I mean, like I said, we've watched a lot of NC State wrestling this year. I have not seen him dominate on top like that. That is huge. And like we said, that'll be big first confidence as we go into the postseason.
Headed towards the postseason, we are in the intermission right now. 16th ranked Michigan has a 10-7 lead. We'll take a break and be back in just a couple of minutes here on the ACC Network Extra. Welcome back, everyone, inside Reynolds Coliseum. I'm Andrew Sanders, joined by Ryan Tice. 16th ranked Michigan out to an early 10-7 lead at the intermission. We'll start off with the heavyweights when we come out of intermission. Let's take a look at the top 25 here, Ryan. And again, NC State ranked 7th, Michigan just outside of this list. But this is why the National Duels is so fun, because you get to see matchups like Oklahoma State and Penn State at the top.
Yeah, that's what the point of the National Duels was when it came about. There's a lot of controversy about the National Duels as a whole, but I think we've got a great match here. Obviously, Oklahoma State and Penn State will be a great one, and that's what you hope for. You hope to have these high-level programs, number 1 versus number 2, and matches like what we've got here tonight with number 16 Michigan and number 7 NC State.
There's Michigan at 8-6, 16th ranked in the country, and you see the rest of the top 25. And some schools getting to host Big Ten schools that maybe haven't done so before. I mean, Appalachian State is hosting tonight, as is Edinburgh. So it's a good opportunity for a couple of these schools. We'll get a look at the scoreboard tonight. Lehigh and Rutgers are in match number 5. And most of the big matches are on Sunday. You see Ohio State, Cornell, and again, the aforementioned Penn State and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of good matches there that did come out of it, despite what has been happening with it. So a lot of good ones to watch, and we've got a good one here at the intermission, 10-7 Michigan.
Keep an eye on Nebraska, Virginia Tech as well. As we welcome you tableside here in Reynolds Coliseum, I'm Andrew Sanders. He's Ryan Tice. So, Ryan, what we saw out of those first 5 matches, it pretty much followed form, what we expected to see, at least the end result.
Yeah, the favorites won each match. I think the surprising thing might have been we did not see a lot of bonus points. Just 2 major decisions with the way that Logan Mass's match ended with was it a takedown, was it not a takedown at the end? That played into it, but 2 major decisions, so only 2 bonus points awarded so far.
You get a look at what we saw thus far. Again, just about started here in the intermission period. We're going to start off with the heavyweights when we come back. We're going to take a break and be back in just a minute. Back here in Reynolds Coliseum, just getting started with the heavyweight bout and wasting no time. Mike Kosoy of NC State just got a takedown within the first 5 seconds against Payne Hayden of Michigan, and he's getting some swipes here.
Mike Kosoy just on his back right now.
A pin for Kosoy.
23 seconds. The NC State team has not even returned to the bench yet, and they come out and the match is over.
And Hayden is hurt. So the crowd goes from excited from the pin to Hayden, who is still on the mat.
And you see Kosoy got that leg in there and came on top, put all of his weight on top of his opponent, and that got the pin. 6 points for the Wolfpack.
And again, we hope that Payne Hayden is okay. A quick pin, and I didn't see exactly what happened during that pin that led to the injury, but he was kind of out of sorts.
Immediately.
Yeah, and right now you see the training staff tending to him, and a really good sign that he's sitting up.
Yeah, that's what you always want to see. You don't want to see a guy get hurt in a match, and like you, I'm not sure what happened, but the way he reacted when he sat up is definitely a scary moment. So good to see him walking on his own right now.
So Kosoy will win it, and 6 huge points for NC State. Again, the national duels are presented by the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marines. and by TheraWorks. Your skin's defense is our top priority, and Bats Toy, resist to exist. So wow, that took, as you said, 23 seconds, and all of a sudden NC State was down 3 points. Now they're up 3 points as we go into 125 pounds. We expected this one on paper would be a really good one.
Yeah, this is a great matchup here. You don't see a number next to Connor Utzi's name right there, but he is legit. He is a very good wrestler, a two-time All-American, and a guy who thought he was done wrestling after he All-American last year at the NCAA tournament in New York City. Had a job set up, started working, and then Michigan had a couple of injuries happen. They asked him to come back. He was able to. Came back in January, and he's out there on the mat for the Wolverines, and like Joe McFarland, the head coach at Michigan, said, he provides a lot of leadership for that team as a fifth-year guy out there and a guy who's been on the All-American podium at the national tournament twice.
A lot of leadership, a lot of energy as well.
So his first match back was actually January 22nd. Picked up a second-period pin against Northwestern, and Sean Foz of NC State is also a guy that did not start wrestling 125 until second semester. He was NC State's starter at 133 first semester and then dropped down. And you see him in the national rankings at number 23 right now. So these are two guys that, regardless of what their record or rank says, are guys that could make noise at the NCAA tournament. Foz went out there and won 2 matches last year. And Utsi placed 5th after placing 6th in 2015.
Michigan had really 4 guys at 125 pounds going into the year. Again, one of them was Utsi, but as you mentioned, with that job opportunity, he wasn't on the team anymore. Then one guy moved up to 133 pounds. They still left with 2, but then Austin Assad and Mike Boyanik injured. And just, I think that's an incredible story that Utsi, they reached out to him and said, hey, if something happens, would you be okay to come back? And now, again, he's not ranked. Flo has him, I think, 13th. He's ranked between 13 and 20 in pretty much every poll.
Yep.
And so, he and Foz should make it a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, and only 3-3 on the year. Utsi doesn't have the required matches to be in the last coaches panel rankings. That came out towards the earlier this month. I think they were February 10th or something like that. So whatever the number is next to his name, he's a guy that will probably make some noise at the NCAA tournament. He's a guy that's bounced back from up and down regular seasons the last 2 years to All-American. It's funny, we talk about how strong the Big Ten is in wrestling. Last year he placed 6th at the Big Ten tournament and then went and took 5th at Nationals.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So that just shows the strength of Big Ten wrestling.
It shows the strength, and really it also exemplifies what wrestling is all about. Obviously at your conference tournament you want to do well, but you want to be peaking at the right time at the end of the year, and that's what he was able to do. You see, breaking down this matchup, again, both guys essentially getting into 125. Utsi, from not wrestling really, and Foz cutting the weight, both of them around January.
Yeah, and even when you see these two guys stand next to each other, Foz is a big 125-pounder. Especially normally a guy like Utsi, a 2-time All-American, is not going to be on the lower end of the weight class, but Foz is just a tall guy. He almost towers over a lot of his competition, and credit to him for managing his weight well enough to get back down to 125 after wrestling at 133 during the first semester.
Again, when we looked at the matchups on paper, we figured, hey, Michigan and NC State would both feel pretty good about 5 of them. This was the one for Michigan where we thought that Utsi would probably be favored, but again, it would probably be pretty close.
Yeah, great follow there from Foz.
And he's out.
Utsi
1 point escape from Utsi. But again, it's pretty close, and more pressure on Utsi because at heavyweight, Mike Kosoy, if you went to the fridge to go get a snack during intermission and you came back just 30 seconds after the heavyweight bout started, it was already over. Kosoy pinned Payne Hayden of Michigan, and so that heavyweight fall is going to play a huge factor here. We weren't expecting to see, we talk about bonus points. I mean, you can't get more bonus points than that.
Yeah, I mean, we thought when we were talking about bonus points might decide this, we thought maybe major decision, maybe.
It's the difference between
maybe
a
tech
decision
fall.
and a major, or maybe to a tech fall, yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think we were really expecting any pins, and Kasoy just did it so quickly. It was really impressive, 23 seconds.
Just like what we saw with Logan Massa. If you're tuning in recently and you missed the 165-pound bout, Logan Massa had a major decision locked up, needed one more takedown for a tech fall. And initially, the official awarded it as the buzzer went off. They went to the monitor. He did not have control yet as the clock expired, and so it went from what was officially called as a tech fall to just a major decision. 2 points awarded to Yutzi, and then a stalemate.
Not to be critical of the refereeing there, but I thought that was an interesting call because they were in that position for an extended period of time with no points awarded, and then the ref just threw up 2. Not that it was randomly, but
you're just saying that you didn't see enough change.
Yeah. I don't know why you would be able to award it when he did if it wasn't a takedown earlier. So, an interesting one there, but neither coaching staff really said too much about it. They just decided to keep it going, and that looked awfully close to some locked hands. And you see NC State head coach Pat Papalizio literally
got the challenge
running
flag out
over to the table to say that he thought Yutzi had his hands locked when he returned Foz down to the mat.
You're all over it, Ryan, because after he waved the flag, he signaled to the ref and showed those locked hands. So that's exactly what they're going to look at right now. But it is 3-0, Connor Yutzi.
Now, if it is locked hands, to explain for fans who might not be as familiar with wrestling, that would be a point for Foz. So that would obviously make it 3-1. And it will be interesting to see what the call is. Maybe we can get a look at it here and make a determination for ourselves. But it's always such a tough thing. It depends what kind of angle you have, what kind of angle the camera has, what kind of angle the ref has. We're going to see it here. You see he's got his hands locked there, right there. And like I said, that's a tough angle. I don't know if the referee is really going to be able to determine much on that one.
Here's a different camera angle. Just before that. And you're not going to really be able to see too much because his back's to you.
Oh, that looked like his hands were locked when Foz's knee hit the mat. Right there. Yep. Right there. That's locked hands to me. That's a definite point. I don't think there's any question about it. Great job by our crew finding that angle and giving the refs a great view of it.
So we think, again, just that portion, right as soon as the back turns.
You see the NC State coaches, they were unanimous in their decision. And
they say no locked hands.
I'm guessing he did not see enough visual evidence there. Maybe I should have let you take that one, partner. You're 1 for 1 on determining the calls. I need to just give up.
I'm good. I'll stay at 1,000. I'll bat 1,000.
Foz right out. That's what you want to see out of him in a 3-0 hold. Get that escape quick and go back to work in neutral.
You already mentioned that Foz is much bigger. He's a big 125-pounder. You see just how low Yutzi gets.
Yeah, that's his advantage.
His center of mass is much lower than Foz.
That's his advantage, and so when you do have that, you got to use every advantage you've got. So, especially wrestling a taller guy like that, it's big to stay as low as possible. So we'll have a quick timeout for Yutzi to fix his headgear.
Foz going to have to try and use some of that length and pick up a takedown here in the final minute and 22 seconds.
This is a great test for Foz, though. The NC State coaches think he's good enough to All-American this year. He did very well at the NCAA tournament last year as a true freshman. And he's up against a guy who's done it 2 years in a row now. So this is a great test for him to kind of judge where he's at going into the postseason. Nice little shuck by Foz, but not able to score with it. minute here in the third period.
Utsi takes a peek at the clock.
Foz gets a look at the clock and knows he's got to get his offense working. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, how much time do you waste trying to set up a move, or do you just go and then get in a position like this?
Well, that's the thing is you can never. You've always got to set up your shot. You can't just start diving in there because that's when you're almost for sure going to give points up to your opponent. And Foz, they're in a Foz with the two. There it is. I thought he had it, and then Utsi was able to kind of roll his way out of it, and then Foz secures it.
Scoring points in the final 10 seconds of the period, and the final 10 seconds of the bout. And Foz had not done much offensively, just enough at the end. We're going to see some extra wrestling here, Ryan.
Yeah, I think we might have. Okay, looks like someone's got a little blood on him.
A little blood on the back of Foz's neck.
Got cut up there, but great takedown by Foz. End of the period, just when he needed it. Stuck with the move after Utsi initially stopped him. And you hear the crowd getting into it. Here is that takedown. And we're about to get overtime started here. So it is a sudden victory. 1 minute. Whoever scores first will win the match. And you see Utsi staying low there, like we talked about before, Andrew. That's his advantage.
Advantage Utsi here because he controlled almost all of that, or do you think it's Foz because he has that momentum?
Well, yeah, Foz got the momentum. Utsi's the seasoned veteran going up against a redshirt sophomore. So I think it's just a pretty even match, like we've seen up to this point.
Yeah. We expected 125 to be close. We've got ourselves a good one.
Utsi in on a shot, trying to finish. Foz trying to sit around, gets the crotch lock. Foz needs to get some height. That might be close to 2.
There it is. That's 2.
Still looking for the fall. Not going to be able to get it, but he does win the match.
Sean Foz. Maybe an upset at 125 pounds. He came back from the brink of defeat there, about 10 seconds left. He was able to make his move, get a takedown, force overtime, and now NC State has all the momentum. 16-10, the team score. Really, as we go into 133.
Really impressive job for Foz to use that crotch lock, roll through it, and then get his points. Scrambling around. NC State's a great scrambling team. That's what Michigan head coach Joe McFarland told us before the match. He said they are so good at scrambling. We saw it right there in Sean Foz. Comes up big at the final seconds of regulation, comes up big in overtime, gets the win, and it is now 16-10 in favor of the Wolfpack.
Okay, so this is a big bout. A couple of ranked guys, 16th ranked Jamal Morris and 7th ranked Stephen Micic of Michigan. And Micic, again, is one of those Wolverine wrestlers that's been on a roll. He's won 6 straight, and he has been awfully dangerous during that stretch. Not only has he won 6 straight, 5 of them have been by bonus points, and he's looking for bonus points here against Morris.
Yeah, you see that takedown took Morris right to his back, got all 4 back points there, so he's up 6-0 early.
Again, Morris is ranked 16th in the country. He can be really good at times, but he has been inconsistent at times. And against a guy like Micic, again, even though you would think 7 versus 16, there wouldn't be a big gap, Micic is thinking in his mind, I need to score bonus points, especially after what just transpired at heavyweight and 125.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sure Michigan thought coming in that, like we mentioned, 25 was probably one that they penciled in for themselves. So I'm sure he knows the situation right now. Morris in on a shot of his own, runs out of real estate.
Morris saying, hey, I kept that hand in.
See a little frustration there from Morris as the ref awards no points. And you see Micic has just such his coach called it a European style. He's definitely got an awkward style that you don't see very often, and he's in on a shot off of looked like he was trying an arm drag, got stopped, and just went for the shot anyway, and he's awfully close to finishing right here. And that's 2.
There it is. So Micic's already up 7.
And he's got the Turk in right now. He's going to try to use that to take Morris over to his back. You see his right leg. Now what he's going to try to do is point the toe of his right foot up towards the ceiling and elevate. Morris gets out of that position. But he is still carrying all of his opponent's weight and broken down flat on his stomach. That's never where you want to be as a wrestler.
So after the highs of the heavyweight fall and Foz in extra time with a sudden victory, it's gotten awfully quiet here in Reynolds Coliseum because Micic has been dominant here at 133 pounds.
Yeah, he got off to a fast start and kind of quieted the crowd real quick, but they were getting into it there after that overtime win, the crowd here at Reynolds Coliseum. So two pretty highly ranked youngsters going out there on the mat right now against each other. And
how about Morris right there?
Morris was trying to keep his hand in to possibly get out of that, and then he ends up giving 2 back points up because he stayed in bounds instead of just going out there. So that makes it 10-1.
Micic,
and we're just in the first period.
Yeah, Micic has a team-high 7 major decision victories this year, and he's already in that territory. And, boy, as good as he's been in the first year, he's got to be thinking about 5.
Yeah.
He has to be.
Absolutely. He knows his team needs it after that pin at heavyweight, and then Sean Foz
winning that's a difference of maybe 4 or 5 points that Michigan has to make up.
Yeah. So he's in on another shot. Morris gives ground, and they are out of bounds.
1 second remaining in the period.
And Mikic is another one of these guys from Michigan he's just a redshirt freshman, but he is so good.
Hey, don't miss out on the 2017 ACC Wrestling Championships on March 3rd. First rounds are set to begin at 11 a.m. There'll be dual streams live on the ACC Network Extra and watch ESPN. And that is actually March 4th, the ACC Championship.
So 1 point to start off the second period. 1 point escape, and they are back neutral. And Morris just has to get something going here. He's given up a lot of points. Credit to Mikic there for doing that. I mean, he's been wrestling very well. And he's burst onto the scene as a redshirt freshman, had a lot of quality wins, and then his losses, he's taken some really, really good guys like Nathan Tomasello to a real close match. Corey Clark of Iowa, he had a real close one with. And Morris was in on a shot, just ran out of room to finish it.
Yeah.
And again, you kind of see him frustrated as he walks back to the center of the mat.
Yeah, and Adam Hall from NC State came over and said, hey, you got to stay in bounds.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's been 2 times now that Morris has been just on the edge of the mat, too far out. It would make a difference here between a decision and a major decision. Still about 3 minutes to wrestle. And you talk about Micic just being a redshirt freshman. Hey, Logan Mass is in the same boat. Another redshirt freshman, Miles Amin. So we've seen some of the best wrestlers for Michigan are redshirt freshmen. You mentioned a couple of others at 184 pounds or at heavyweight. And Michigan, poised for a good run at NCAAs. This is a team that finished in the top 10 last year, finished 9th. NC State finished 11th.
Yeah, and real quick, Andrew, just an interesting note about those final finishes.
Yeah.
The reason Michigan actually jumped ahead of NC State and got into the 9th place spot was their heavyweight we talked about earlier that's redshirting right now, Adam Kuhn, pinned Virginia Tech's Ty Walls in the consolation finals, and that was what pushed them ahead of the Wolfpack. NC State was looking good, like they were going to finish in 9th place. Yeah. That pin kind of flip-flopped the 2 of them.
Of course, with NC State heavyweight Nick Wisdowski beating Kuhn going to the national title, it looked like, the Wolfpack were in a top 10 position, but then who could have expected Kuhn to pin Walls and, in a consolation match? That is for third place in the country. Not too often are you going to see a pin in that situation.
Yeah, normally on the final day of the NCAA tournament when they're doing what's called the medal matches, you don't see a lot of pins.
Yeah.
But that's just a testament to Kuhn. Adam Kuhn's a great wrestler, was a guy who this summer placed second at the Olympic trials in Greco-Roman wrestling, and probably a guy we'll see on the Olympic team, which is something that NC State's Nick Gwizdowski, who you just mentioned, is in the process of working his way towards that. He's actually in Iran wrestling at the World Cup right now.
Morris got hit with a stalling warning and then another stall call, so another point. (13-3) our score.
And Morris just for confidence sake needs to try to get a takedown here. Just hasn't been able to. He's been frustrated, I think visibly frustrated. And that could be trouble right there. Oh, I thought he was going to take him right to his back again. Not able to do that. But you see him kind of push Mikic pushing that head down on Morris and just trying to takedown cut. Takedown cut is what he wants right now. Trying to get as many bonus points as possible.
Needs another takedown. And he has 30 seconds to do it. Another stall for Morris.
And you see the NC State coaches not liking that call. Pat Popolizio not pleased with that bit of refereeing as we head to the conclusion of this one. Mikic up 18-5, has 2:32 of riding time. So it's huge for Morris to not give up points here. And he tries another arm drag, takes him right to his back. He's going to get backers. That's going to lock up the tech fall.
4 points will lead to a 5-point tech fall. So, got to credit Stephen Micic on the road against 16th ranked Jamal Morris. And there was a huge gap between those two wrestlers tonight. So 5 points for Michigan. They draw within 1, but now a bout in which NC State will be heavily favored in. Again, we saw Massa earlier and how dominant he was, just missed a tech fall. Well, here is NC State's wrestler that is ranked second in the country, Kevin Jack.
Yeah, Kevin Jack is wrestling as well as anybody in the country at 141 pounds right now. He is on a 24-match winning streak, the longest of his career, the 7th longest in school history.
Going up against Sal Profaci, a redshirt freshman. Profaci is 12-11 on the season.
And you mentioned before where Michigan's heart of the order was. NC State's closing this one with 2 of their best wrestlers. You got Kevin Jack, second-ranked wrestler at 141 pounds, followed by number 10, Sam Spino, a redshirt senior at 149.
Profaci trying to work his way around there on Jack. And so again, Jack trying to score bonus points here and make the job a little bit easier for Sam Spino.
Nice little duck through from Kevin Jack there. His shot was stopped at first. He just kind of ducks through, gets his 2. And Kevin Jack is so good on top. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go for turns. We've seen a lot of guys take someone down and cut him. Kevin Jack, I think we'll see work on top at least a little bit to see if he can get a turn. Looks like he's got a head lever on the left side right now, was trying to bar it up, no luck. But he does have that tight waist. And with those long arms of Kevin Jack, those tight waists that he has is nasty.
I'll tell you what, Profaci has been able to stay here so far, hasn't given up the near fall points at all. So it's just 2-0. And he's wound down a lot of time here in the first.
Jack's got that reinforced bar, goes to a tilt with it, able to get all 4. He's also over a minute of riding time now. And that's going to be an escape and the NC State coaches wanted a fleeing the mat call. Not able to get it, coax it out of the referee, but Jack up 6-1 here in the first period.
Yeah, the 4 near fall points really big. Profaci has tried to take a couple of shots here.
Yeah, he's going toe-to-toe with one of the best wrestlers in the country, and he's not timid. You really like to see that out of a guy that's a redshirt freshman and in the lineup, for his first year.
I like that a lot. Go ahead and take your shots. Try and be smart with it. Obviously, don't just shoot just to shoot.
Right.
But don't go out there and just try to play defense the whole time. He's taking some shots.
He's a tough scrambler here. Jack was in a really good position. He scrambles out of it, and then Jack finishes, gets his 2, and now he's going to go right back to work on top. I'm sure he'll be trying to work his bars. He's really good at that. You see that tight waist he's got with his right arm. I mean, Kevin Jack is just so tall that he can do a lot of damage with that. He's got long arms that help him.
So the end of the first period, it was a good first period for Kevin Jack. Couple of takedowns and 4 near fall points lead to an 8-1 period 1 score. A look at what he's been able to do, as you mentioned earlier, Ryan, 7th longest streak in school history. And he's been able to do it against ranked opponents, 8-0 in ACC duels. So he has been outstanding.
Yeah, Kevin Jack's a guy that All-American as a true freshman. Last year he went back to the NCAA tournament, was seeded very highly, and did not All-American. He got knocked out in the blood round, and that's been a motivating factor for him. Head coach Pat Popolizio said it was a learning experience for him, and you never want to go through those experiences, but it looks like Kevin Jack's come out on the other side just fine.
That pin at heavyweight, I think, and then Foz over Yutzi, at 125, making a big difference, even with the tech fall from Micic. NC State with a 1-point advantage, and so a 4-point major decision here would put it almost out of reach for 10th-ranked Sam Spino.
Yeah, major decision here would obviously force a tech fall or pin from Michigan. Actually, a tech fall wouldn't win because NC State would have the criteria in that situation because of Mike Kasoy's pin at heavyweight.
Yeah.
So if Jack is able to get the major, it would come down to whoever Michigan throws out there needing a pin.
Jack is in major decision territory right now. Also important to note that Profaci got hit with a stalling warning, his first. He's got a long minute and 48 seconds remaining. And again, he's got to score.
And Jack returns him down on the mat, breaks him down, and I mean, Jack is tough on top. You see him working that tight waist and continuing to break his opponent down, and as soon as he builds up, he breaks him down again. And the NC State coaches instruct him to let him up, give him the escape point, and get back to work in neutral. That's what we're going to see here.
Yeah, Jack has enough time. You would think he can use that takedown and cut. There's a big 2 points.
Impressive trip there from Kevin Jack. And now you see the coaches saying, you've got to hold him here. 13 seconds left in the period. Do not give up one. And I don't think we're going to see that happen against Kevin Jack. And he's going to go on bottom. Originally he said neutral, and then he chose bottom, and Jack says, let him up. Don't take any time off the clock. Let me go back to work in neutral.
10-point lead for Jack. Again, 15 is tech fall.
And there's a quick takedown from Kevin Jack, just powering through his opponent's
Now
defense.
we've seen him effectively work the tilt against Profaci. And now Coach McFarland is on the mat right now. I'm not sure exactly.
I think it's over the leg lock that Kevin Jack has on his opponent right now. You see it's kind of got his opponent's legs he's almost figured forward his opponent's own legs against themselves.
And I think Michigan.
I don't think that's against the rules. And did not see any back points that the ref counted out there. Maybe one swipe and that was it.
Jack still a minute to work as he's tried to work this around and get those near fall points. It has burned up some clock.
Yeah, he's got over 3 minutes of riding time, so it's essentially 16-3, 16-4 now. And watch him, he's going to bring him back in.
Trying to bring him back in.
Yep.
Rafachi trying to stay out.
And there's
Jack's
two.
In.
Great mat awareness from Kevin Jack. That is why he is one of the best wrestlers in the country. Able to drag that toe. It's like a NFL wide receiver dragging that second foot on the sideline.
Like Julio Jones.
There you go.
The Super Bowl.
Exactly. So it's 17-5, essentially 18-5 with riding time.
Jack needs one more takedown here in the final 25 seconds. Profaci, can he play defense here?
That's what he's trying to do.
15 seconds.
Jack peeks over at the clock, sees how much time he's got.
They're stalling. That's 1 point, but again, Jack still needs to score. And that's a nice job by Profaci. He can go ahead and eat that 1 point because it's only a major decision. So the tech fall would have locked it up for NC State. As it is, as you see Kevin Jack exhausted after a big win, he gives the Wolfpack now a 20-15 lead. You get a recap of what we've seen so far as we go into our final bout.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great matches today. We've seen bonus points, and we said that's what it was going to come down to. And the match is still in doubt as we head into the final bout. Although NC State does have a pretty commanding 20-15 lead, it's going to require a pin from Michigan in order to pull this win out.
Zach Hall of Michigan against 10th-ranked Sam Spino.
And again, a quick start here in this bout. Sam Spino wasted no time to try to get a shot. Although we haven't seen any points yet, and they're going to go out of bounds.
Again, for the purpose of this duel, Hall needs to pin Spino in order for Michigan to win. As you said earlier, 5 points not going to do it because in the event that they were tied, NC State would win because of Mike Kostoy's pin at heavyweight.
And you see Spino coming through the rolling around and comes out on the end of it for 2 points. Gets the takedown.
Well, we've seen some really quality wrestlers from Michigan tonight, and you see why they're going to have some guys go very far in the Big Ten championships, and it's a good bet at the NCAA championships as well. But for the purpose of this duel, you know, NC State with all 10 wrestlers, all 10 starters being ranked in the coaches panel, you can see that the depth from the Wolfpack, it looks like it was going to be enough to get it done, barring, again, a pin by Hall. That depth is something that was developed by Coach Popolizio, even in this, which many would say would be a rebuilding year for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, coming into the year with everything they lost. They had 3 All-Americans last year, which tied a school record. None of them are in the lineup. 2 of them graduated, and 184-pound senior Pete Renda's redshirting this year, so NC State reloaded. They didn't do much of a rebuild. It was a reload for them. Stayed in the top 10 all season, which is quite an impressive accomplishment. Like you mentioned, all 10 starters are ranked in the coaches panel, and head coach Pat Popolizio said, I think I've got 15 guys who could go to the national tournament in my room. And, you know, that, of course, leads to some tough decisions or sometimes guys redshirting, and they've got a lot of quality guys in the room, as does Michigan. Yeah,
Michigan and Coach McFarland kind of feels the same way. You know, when you count red shirts and guys that are kind of stuck in weight classes, there's 15 guys that could go to nationals.
At least. And the other thing to keep in mind about this Michigan team, 5 of their starters tonight, freshmen eligibility-wise. So the future is very bright. Next year, they'll bring back those 3 guys that are redshirting that we've talked about, Abinator, Pantaleo, and Adam Kuhn, who's a guy who could be a national finalist or better. He's a guy that lost to Nick Wisdowski in the finals before 2 years ago. So
Spino
showing his strength, walking him back to the
carried him for 4 or 5 steps there. And again, you got to return him to the mat, which he did effectively.
And he didn't slam him, so there wasn't going to be any penalty points or anything like that. He safely returned him to the mat. But we were just talking about red shirts. I think Sam Spino is a great example of what a red shirt can do for a guy. NC State with Kevin Jack in the lineup they were good at 141, but they needed a 49-pounder. So Sam Spino redshirted last year, got a little bit bigger. We just saw his strength there. And now he's in the top 10 in the country, and it's thanks to that redshirt year.
And speaking of, Michigan guys that are redshirting and younger wrestlers coming back, NC State redshirting Pete Renda. He'll be back next year. The future also bright for the Wolfpack. Even I know we've still got a lot of quality wrestling to go this season, but looking ahead to next year a little bit.
Yeah, both these programs extremely bright futures. I think they're going to be mainstays in the top 10 for the foreseeable future. And credit to both of these coaches. Head coach Pat Popolizio of NC State doing it a little quicker, and Joe McFarland just continuing to build a strong program.
Yeah, Coach McFarland been there for 18 years, and again, 9 top 10 finishes. So Michigan, obviously, with Cliff Keen, this has been an established program and one of the best programs in college wrestling since, dating back to the 1920s. But for NC State, in a program with good history, but Coach Pat Popolizio, really taking them to a next level. And, Ryan, you were able to ask Pat Popolizio if he felt like the program had kind of arrived.
Yeah, I asked him that. I said, there's a difference between being a team and a program.
Yeah.
A team could have a good year. Sam Spino was going to his back there, and I thought we were going to have some excitement here. But, a team can have one good year, and it's almost like a blip on the radar.
Sure.
But when you're a program, you have those years consistently, back to back. You have the depth that Pat Popolizio's built. And he says he's very excited about the future. He thinks he's built that. You got to remember, when he took this program over in 2013, they went 5-6 overall. They were winless in ACC duels. They placed 5th at the ACC tournament and 63rd at the NCAA tournament. Look at them now. And
look what they did last year in this event. Their first invite to the National Dual Championships on the road, defeating Iowa 21-17. Again, no ACC team had ever beaten the Iowa Hawkeyes. They also won at Oklahoma State last year. And so building upon that, and a minute and 45 seconds away from getting a win over the Michigan Wolverines. So NC State starting to make some waves in the college wrestling world, going up against some of the perennial powerhouses like in Iowa or like a Michigan. Yeah, that's the difference. Michigan's got the history. They've been so good for so long. Whereas NC State had a little bit of a dip. I mean, a couple years ago they did have Darion Caldwell, an NCAA champion, but there wasn't the depth that there is now. There wasn't the team duel success that there is now, and that's a credit to Pat Popolizio and his staff for being able to build it up so quickly. Sam Spino and Zach Hall here having a pretty good bout to close things out. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you look at it on paper, Sam Spino's ranked 10th in the country, has a record of 20-6, and Zach Hall, the redshirt sophomore, comes in unranked with a record of 14-7. But he's out here giving Spino all he can handle as we go under a minute in regulation. And this is the type of match for Zach Hall of Michigan that can kind of propel him into the postseason and maybe help him surprise some guys at the Big Ten tournament and get into the NCAAs. Oh, yeah. He's wrestled well here against Spino. Again, he's going to need a pin of Spino in the last 35 seconds here. In an overall team score if Michigan is going to win here on the road.
And I think even Michigan coaches would agree, like, getting a pin here would be great, but they just want Zach Hall to win this match.
Right.
You know, it would be great to win as a team, get a pin, win as a team and all that, but they just want Zach Hall to figure out a way to win this in the last 20 seconds.
Again, there's a certain amount of pride that goes into and prestige that goes into winning a national dual championship, or winning a national duel, I should say, as part of this kind of championship series.
Wow, nice little job of Sanspino avoiding that and kind of kicking out of it. And he's going to win based on ride time. He had 1:14 of riding time. That gives him the additional point at the end, locks up a 5-4 victory, and the team score as well, 23-15.
Sanspino does just enough. Valiant effort by Zach Hall. But NC State beats Michigan in Reynolds Coliseum, 23-15, the final score. Ryan, your final thoughts on this duel? It was a lot of fun. It was exactly what we expected, and we saw some really good bouts along the way.
Yeah, these are two teams with very bright futures, but they got quality rosters right now. They might be young, they might be new faces in the lineup, but just really good stuff, a great competitive match, and we saw a lot of good wrestling out there tonight.
We absolutely did. We started at 157 pounds. Michigan got off to a 10-0 lead, but then NC State with the heavier weights. They win at 184, at 197. A pin by Mike Kosoy, the biggest blow for Michigan, as NC State able to hold on at the end to take a 23-15 victory. For our great crew here in Raleigh, my partner Ryan Tice, good night from Raleigh, the Wolfpack victorious in the national duels.